And there you are live.
Oh,
All
shit.
right.
Hello and welcome to the Tattoo Collecting Podcast.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
I am one of your hosts, Jordan Rookus, and this is...
Fawn Baker.
We're both artists at Red Tree Tattoo.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. This is our official Thanksgiving / recap.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving. Oh, we got extra audio.
There we go.
Sweet. Well, hope everyone's having a good time already. It's noon. Hopefully you're already at your family's eating food. Or just waking up, getting real stoned before you gotta go and
there's
deal with the fam. I think right now, leaving in about an hour or two is usually probably normal.
Yeah.
You know, if I was home, that's what I'd be doing.
We did a 3-person Thanksgiving feast yesterday.
3-person? You make your Cornish game hens?
Yeah, we did Cornish hens. My sister and I made an apple pie. We actually did the lattice on it. I showed her some tricks, and she was like, "Is that how you?" I was like, "Yep." So some tricks applied to other areas. Fun when that happened.
Nice.
So, what have we got in store today, Jordan?
So today we're just gonna hang out and talk and recap on some episodes from before. We got some topics we want to get on, but we're just here to hang out with you on Thanksgiving. Talk about some tattoo stuff. Have some laughs. We're gonna smoke some blunts. We should have a glorious feast in front of us. We don't. I think that would have been a great addition to this. Us just munching down on the microphone.
I thought about bringing leftovers. I thought that would be funny, but I thought it would also be a distraction because cheesy potatoes.
Can't eat on the mic. I mean, unless you're mashing around macaroni in the mic.
On top. So good. Not appropriate for chewing. And then, I can barely talk as it is. So talking with a mouthful of food, I'm getting the microphone filthy.
So before we get into anything, I think we should let everyone know how they can find all the ways of checking this out right now. Of course, people on Reinventing the Tattoo, you are already on Reinventing the Tattoo. If you're on Instagram, you are on Tattoo Collecting.
Funny you should ask, Jordan. I've spent a little time working on our webpage. So if you go to tattoocollecting.com, you can find our Instagrams, which are Fawn Baker at Fawn_Baker, and Jordan's is
Jordan Rookus Tattoo. Simple as that.
But you can find those direct links on our webpage. Also, I have all of our videos lined up in order, so you can go down the list all in one location, no YouTube searching. So tattoocollecting.com. Also, I'm working on a community platform where we'll be able to share our own tattoo stories and pictures. And also, I think that's going to give us a lot of material to talk about in the future, other people's stories. We can either share their name and information, or we can just share stories.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
And if you guys hear that, definitely check that out, because that means you guys can, if you guys got any questions, can we put pictures on there?
Yeah,
They
absolutely.
can upload pictures.
Yep.
So if you upload your pictures, something we're going to start doing is being able to display these pictures. So if you send something over, maybe we'll put it up on the screen.
Yeah, I think I'm going to keep it the traditional forum style, where it's just one continuous thread and everybody can talk and share stories. But there's also another section to that where you can click on one another's profiles and then have personal conversations about anything and everything. But
does that go right to our email when they send pictures and they comment? Or where does the picture save to?
It's on a forum right on
the page. It just goes right to the...
So public forum.
So it's it's like a Facebook type timeline thing.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, but it'll be just one timeline or one thread, and you'll be able to just read everybody's stories. So our goal of being a little bit more interactive is starting to come to life. It's all at tattoocollecting.com.
Mm-hmm.
We need to come up with a jingle for that, but if you go there, that will also take you to our Facebook and Instagram. But we've got a giant Reinventing the Tattoo link, so you can follow all the stuff that's going on Reinventing the Tattoo anytime. So it's super easy, super basic, but we'll start having more pictures and stories and, more events and things that are all tattoo related. But it's starting to be an interactive thing.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So start posting on there, guys. We would love to have some interaction.
Absolutely.
We want to see your tattoos, all of them. If you're proud of your tattoos, send it over.
Tatties.
Tell us who did it. We want to know.
Yeah. If this is going to be the best way to you know, their magazines are still a thing. Instagram is a thing, but a lot of times on Instagram, like your artist will share your tattoo, but they might not share the story behind it or how it came to be. So this will be, you know, your chance to share like what it was like to collect the piece, maybe how the piece changed you, you know, share your cover up stories, like all of the above. It's,
Right.
I mean, all of our tattoos are so personal and special to each one of us.
Right. I would say especially, I would love to hear from people who have some really wild stories. Like if you just have like a really weird story, whether it's awkward or it could be anything, you know, even something you're really uncomfortable, or if you were uncomfortable with, because I think that's really important to touch on, you know, how an artist might make you feel uncomfortable or how you had some weird awkward interaction. You know
I
what
feel
I mean?
like every
all of those,
interaction with me is awkward.
right.
Like when I'm getting tattooed, I feel like it's always awkward for
Yeah.
whoever's working on me. Like I'm kind of awkward and weird and backwards, so it makes whoever I'm working on like.
When I'm getting tattooed, I feel that way hardcore. I feel like I'm a different person when I'm in pain like that. I'm definitely more withdrawn, for sure. I'm not normal Jordan.
Okay. So we're actually kind of jumping down our first rabbit hole. Our first guest when we went live was our buddy Brian Midkiff. A lot of the things that we talked about on our episode with Brian was like the relationship you build with your artist, the trust that you build with your artist. But also we talked about like the consultation process and like, you know, how Derb had to kind of like coach him to have like somewhat of a better idea. And then that idea grew and grew and grew and kept growing and still ended up getting the first idea, but it ended up being better.
Right.
So let's talk about, let's re-hit on some of those things. So Brian talked about his consultation with Derb. What do you like your consultation to be like when somebody hits you up? Like, how do you like that consultation to go as a tattooer?
Personally, I mean, if you're coming, like we've talked about before, of course, you know, if it's something that's really out of my range and it's not something you see a lot in my portfolio, I mean, you can try to ask me if I'm going to want to be, if it's something I might want to do, but your chances of getting a, you know, more timely response from me is definitely going to be going somewhere in the range of the style that I do, but also, you know, do a little bit of research into, if they've done a little bit of research, I enjoyed that. So they know that, okay, there's a few things you do here. And so I'm looking for this thing you do, as, you know, opposed to being really vague and saying you want some, you know, want some like abstract type, you know, geometric design or something. It's like, cool, that sounds awesome, but are you thinking more like bioorganic? Or are you thinking more geometric? Like, you know, having a little bit more solidity. Or if they're like, hey, totally do your own thing, I like that. But I also like having a little bit of direction and knowing like, okay, well, do you want black ornamental work?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you going to want, you know, something more organic and full of shading and full like 3D dimensional and things. So, you know, in saying that, just some research into it and then coming at me with something that I can connect with a little bit more.
Yeah. I think there's got to be that like connection with both the artist and.
You definitely don't need to come back with a stack of references when you come in, though. I mean, the more references you give me, I mean, keeping them pretty straightforward to the point. If you bring me a bunch of other artists' work, it's going to confuse me more than anything, and it's going to be a lot of.
Do you like it more when somebody comes in looking for your work? Do you like it more when they come in with like 2 or 3 examples of your work that they like, or do you like it better when they're bringing in other things that are like a totally different kind of challenge for you?
They don't have to come to me with my specific pieces, and I think it's okay to come to me with other people's work to give me inspiration on that. But to take like, you know, 10 different artists and then pick apart 10 different artists and like kind of collage your tattoo from 10 different artists, like that can't happen. You got to understand that I'm going to take what you're saying and then morph it into my own thing, you know, because that's what I know and that's how I do it. And other artists do what they're doing because they, you know, they've developed that style.
That's a really important thing that you just said.
I almost don't have the ability to always copy other people because I don't know how to do the things that they do.
Bringing multiple styles together, like as an artist, when somebody shows you multiple different things that might all be rad, but as an artist, you're going to look at it and you're going to pick out like the things that you love about each, and then you're going to, in your head, work that into your own version of all of those. So it won't be like any one, it'll be like your imagination's collage of all of these ideas and styles. That's part of the magic of the collaboration, and that's part of the magic of like really exploring consultations the right way, I think. Is like being open-minded. Like as a collector, be open-minded, and like if you like these 5 different tattoos by 5 different artists, or these 5 different pieces of art by 5 different artists, and you show them to your tattooer, they might get excited about totally different things from each piece. So like what inspires you might inspire your artist to even another level. So there's a funny thing where like just when you go to the right creative mind that you already connect with, then there's like this magic that happens. I feel like a lot of times, like I totally understand what my clients are wanting, but I already imagine a better way to put it together, or a better way that makes more sense to tell the story, where like it might not have occurred to them to like tell this in a chronological way, but like the way they showed it to me, it's already just like come to me in a totally different vision. So it's like, I don't know, I just think that's a really magic part of the consultation, is that like back and forth, and the way the idea, like you might have already come in with what is a good idea, but then your artist, sometimes it's like, it's not, no, I didn't hear what you're saying. It's like, no, I heard you, but this will be even better. Exactly. This is like 3 more levels on what you've already shown me.
Being willing to communicate with your artist, being open to idea changes, and I think coming in with a raw piece of clay, and then leaving with something a little bit more molded. Maybe it's not exactly what it's going to be, but you've started to mold it into it.
Yeah, I really like that. That was a really important point, is the way that artists have the ability to combine different ideas to make not necessarily always bigger, but a more clear idea, or maybe a more clear way to tell your story, or maybe to tell your story but with more flavor.
Right, but trying to, and clarifying where I was saying would be, in contrast, trying to take, expecting your artist to make a collage of all those artists into one. Like we may be inspired, and that may take our ideas to the next level. And I like that, but coming in with an expectation of, I like this, and I like this, and I like this, and I want those into the tattoo the way that I want it, the way that I see it. It's like, you make it really difficult on me, if I feel like every line I'm making has to align with the way that you want your lines. Like I know it is your tattoo for sure, but allow me the freedom to create those lines, and we'll see if you like it. And then we'll change it if needed.
Yeah, no, I love that magic, because even my own tattoos.
All ideas considered. I always, all ideas considered. Not forgive them, for they do not always know.
Right. Even my own tattoos, sometimes it's incredibly vague when I sit down with the artists who have worked on me. Other times it's like incredibly specific, but like these specific ideas I kind of just imagine as nuggets of inspiration. I might not necessarily have like exactly what it's gonna be, but like just these little nuggets of inspiration. Like I like this, this, and this, but like almost like I like hot pink, I like purple, I like blue. What you do with those 3 pieces of inspiration is up to you, I mean, that's an extreme example, but just like, here's the ingredients, here's the body part, imagine away.
Yep. I mold those next things into whatever it's going to be. I feel like a lot of the things, when in my consultations, we're working with such abstract things every time, especially with the geometric, where it's like, how do you describe a lot of these shapes and a lot of these little things? It's like, there's not really a lot of communication for it. So it's doing whatever it can to communicate some of these lines and flows and certain patterns, but also so much is like, I take all your information in. It's like, awesome. It's cool. I can see the flows in your body the way we have that, but like exactly how that mandala mixed with that geometry, and there's always a level of, you just kind of have to trust in the flow that I'm going to create, because there's not always words to describe exactly how these things are going to sit. You just have to trust in the process.
On an earlier episode, I think it was before we were going live. I think it was one of the episodes where it was just you and I. We started talking about like the symbolism hidden in our tattoos. Like a lot of geometric tattoos might look like just random geometry, but we started talking about like how many facets are on the mandala, and like what numbers you like to use versus the numbers that I like to use, and why. And I just kind of walked away like realizing that it's not always random at all. Like there's always a meaning to everything,
Right.
especially when like we've got to take the time to like A, daydream it up, B, make a tangible mock-up of it, whether it's drawing or computer, and then C, to spend the time and energy actually putting it into the skin. Like every mark has a purpose and every mark has like an intention to be there, you know, like none of it, it may look random if you don't understand what you're looking at. Like if you're looking at a tattoo that's outside of your wheelhouse, but like every single mark has a reason and intention. Like, you know, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of hidden things like that.
It's important for an artist to be able to explain that to their client as well. That you know, we don't have to completely concrete everything in words and this perfect vision of what things are going to be. We've created this rough vision. Like we have this rough piece of clay now. We got something that's starting to be an ambiguous form of what we want in the end. But now you just have to trust that I can take this, you know, this little bit of information. We tried to extract as much as we can, but the information that we have into what it's going to be. So again, the trust thing. I think it's so important. So the more someone can come to me with that, the more comfortable I'm going to be in it.
I think we just touched on like our whole conversation with Brian already. Another thing that we talked about with Brian was like high tech versus low tech.
Right, the whole evolution of how his tattoo came to be through, basically, like if you didn't listen to the thing, I guess just to work back around with that, was Derb was basically, Brian came to Derb with an idea and Derb was like,
no, homeboy,
no.
go home.
No.
Like, I want to take your money, I want to work on you, but like, go think about that a little longer.
Yeah, right. And
they ended up doing the tattoo that Brian wanted, but it was in a different place. Like, so in that case, real estate was the prime adjustment of the idea. The idea still came to life, but they just put it in a different place where, like, real estate wise, if you look at Brian's tattoo now, it was the best choice.
Yeah.
So even just the littlest adjustment, like placement, made both tattoos better. I think, my opinion. I'm biased.
Yeah.
But
I like it.
So let's talk about why I'm biased. Brian has this crazy huge Beatles themed, like, upper bodysuit, back piece.
The most extravagant, super dope Beatles
It's amazing. It's
the
beautiful.
most like
and if you would have
fanboy
put the
Beatle
original
piece I ever seen.
Yeah, if you would have put the original idea
Yellow
on either
submarine
piece, it would have limited how cool the next idea became.
If what? Sorry, I was talking over
It's okay. If he would have put his last name on either rib cage, either side, it would have limited how cool his back piece could have been. So this is a really good example of like just considering real estate. Like they didn't really change the idea because the idea was, you know, once you knew the backstory to it, it was actually a pretty good idea. But changing the location just made his whole collection better. So that was a really
proud of Dirk for saying no, and then that idea turning into something more. So for artist's sake, you know, always standing around with your client and, you know, make sure you speak your mind the way that you think and to like your own standard of your art, and don't just always agree to everything your client's saying, you know, I feel like sometimes clients come to me with their ideas, but they will have really strong ideas and really strong, like, I'm really picky and I really want this to be like this. And I feel like it does make it harder for me. And I feel like almost in the end, it retracts from my work and I feel like I could have been better. And sometimes I'll almost restrict myself. And then I always got to remind myself of like, no, Jordan, just try it the way that you think it should be done and then show her and stuff. But then realizing like, okay, well, if I would have said something during the consultation that would have cleared up this problem. And looking back on lots of situations like that, always knowing and then fixing that. And now, you know, standing your ground, and when you do think something should be a little bit different and stuff, making sure that as an artist that you are speaking your mind as well, I think is very important. But I think it's harder for the client to speak their mind. I think it's definitely really more difficult than the artist thinks, because they're in such a different position than what the artist is in. You know, to speak against your artist sometimes could, for a lot of people, if they don't have a ton of confidence, even anyone who's got a little bit of self-confidence issues, you know, it's like you don't want to make the person who's going to tattoo you mad. They're about to sit with you all day and stuff. I can see where those things come from, but it ain't gonna be like that. Just speak your mind. It's cool. We want to hear you talk.
I have a client, our initial consultation for like the first like bigger piece I did on her, I was incredibly nervous because like her expectations were high, but it was also, you know, combining a few different styles. And like, if we combine a few different styles, you've got to let me do it my way. If you're expecting exactly either of those, they're not the same. They're like two opposites. So you've got to let me like interpret it a little bit. But anyways, I was so nervous that like even the day of our appointment, like we had to like consult again just because I didn't want to like start a tattoo and go in the wrong direction and have her feel like it was less than or it came up short or she was imagining something different. Like it's one thing if a client imagines something and it's like, just trust me, this is going to be fire. You're going to love it. And they're like, okay, I trust you. But when it's like, she's already expecting something really, really good, like really perfect, but it's kind of like some of the ideas were contradictory as far as style and application goes. So it was like, I've got to have some freedom. Long story short, we've grown a great relationship and like her leg sleeve is coming together beautifully. I'm really, really proud of it. She's really proud of it. But there was just this, like, I really wanted to make sure that she really trusted me because at first I was just, it was like that. Not that she said I'm a really picky person, but it was just, I knew that the expectations were incredibly high.
Yeah.
So that's where, like, if the expectations are high, I don't want to miss the mark even a little bit. I want to, like, hit the mark and then go past it a little. I don't want to, like, stray and, like, miss the idea somewhere.
Yeah, right. Especially in such a big piece. Too.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, you're going to be so many sessions deep. There's so much going on. You know, these beginning foundations and this idea of what we start with. It's going to be everything. Because if you jump into something that's not something that big, on something that you're not 100% comfortable with and you're not 100% confident with as an artist, to me, that's kind of like a hell tattoo. And I've earlier in my career put myself in situations where I was doing big tattoos where it wasn't necessarily a style that I knew much about, and I did, and I felt like I actually executed them well, but I had to. There was a lot more to overcome with it, you know, emotionally and just technically.
I'm really comfortable like combining
And
and
it's just all
juxtaposing
about
styles.
agreeing to the tattoo. Once you agree and you put yourself in a position, put a stencil down, now it's your tattoo and you got to keep going. Like, don't put something down that you're not 100% comfortable with, that you know you're not going to execute flawlessly.
Yep.
Don't even start it. Don't even do it if you're kind of uncomfortable with it. Don't do it.
Just don't go paint it first. Paint it. Go grab some charcoal, whatever is your medium of choice.
Pause,
but go
drink
do that
a cup
first.
of coffee, come back, look at your stencil, and go, nope. It's okay. It's okay. You're not gonna feel the best about it, but it's okay.
Oh man, I've had some nightmare stencils. Like,
I'm almost recalling like years ago when I put myself in those situations, and I'm like, no.
Yeah, it's gotten to the point now where
you learn through trial by fires with tattooing, and I've always enjoyed that because you learn from errors quickly.
Yep, that's it.
At least like I do. I don't know. I'm a growth-minded person. Yeah. So when I go through something I dislike or an experience I dislike, I'm not going to want to put myself through that again, and I'm going to do everything I can. And if it means stepping my shit up. Getting a little more confidence, knowing how to talk to people more, knowing how to direct a consultation was so important for me. Or like is so important for me, but it was something that like I was lacking at first, and I realized that's what was going to make me do the work that I want to do, was how I direct this consultation and how I'm talking to my client. Yep. And it really, like every piece of art I've ever done, I feel like it was some result of, or tattooing was some result of how I directed the consultation. Because look back how you might have directed a consultation when you first started tattooing, the kind of work you were doing.
The evolution of my consultation
and
has
then
changed
how you were
so
going
much.
about it. Yeah, I mean, to me, it's just a world of difference, because it's like once you know things and once you become confident in things, then you know you can do something, and you know you can do it again, and you can communicate it. Yeah.
So the consultations really evolved for me. It's not only is it our first chance to like talk ideas with our client, but I really like sometimes clients are kind of nervous when they show up at their consultation. They don't know how prepared they need to be. But for me, like just have a few ideas and then sit down and be ready to just like let your guard down and get to know me, because I want to see your personality a little bit. Like I'm not going to say there's any right or wrong way to have a consultation, and that's different for everybody, and everybody's style and the way that everybody works is a little bit different. So I think the consultation process is going to be a little different for every artist.
Absolutely.
However, for me,
no doubt,
I like to schedule a full hour for each consultation, and usually there's like a window, like 30 minutes in between if I have multiple consultations set up. But I really like that to be our time. You know, if you're somebody I already know, you know, that's time for me to get to know you even better. Or that's the time for you to like tell me the specific story that's inspiring this tattoo even more, because that all changes how I'm going to brainstorm about your idea. You know what I mean? For me, the consultation, I like it to be just casual. Like I like sitting and actually like having a coffee with me and like just chilling with my client. If they happen to smoke, I'll smoke with them. We'll walk around the building.
It's so nice to have the time and the consultation to sit and talk, and not like you're like taking a break from a tattoo, or you're just like trying to quick rush them out because you just want to get that over with. Sitting there and like,
I
really enjoy that time.
I don't want to say that I'm like necessarily like psychoanalyzing my client, because that's not, I don't want it to sound like it's for those purposes, but I like to like watch my client's body language, and I like to watch like how they move, and I want to watch like how they carry themselves.
Do you feel like a half an hour of that time is probably just talking, shooting shit, and then half an hour is like talking about the tattoo?
I mean, sometimes I'll say that it's probably like 40 minutes of just like, hey, what's up? What do you do?
Right.
Like, tell me about your life.
That's what I'm saying. I appreciate
maybe
that. Maybe
40 minutes of that. And then
build the connection a little bit. And
after I've had all those talks with them, it's like, well, tell me about like, what's your tattoo idea? After I already know a little bit of their background story or where they're at currently in their life. Then once they tell me the idea already makes sense with where they are in their life. And it's like, oh, well, we should do this, and this scene should make this, and this should be the story that this is telling. And like, this idea already has all of this flavor just because I heard what's going on in their life. I hear that they have 3 kids. So it's like, oh, you want to do a fire in the woods? Well, maybe we should do like 2 logs over here and 3 logs for your kids over here. And it was like, oh, I never would have thought to do that. But it's just like those little things that wouldn't have come to me if I didn't take the time to like learn a little bit about them. Not to be like intrusive or nosy, but like, you know, if I wouldn't have taken the time to hear their story, I wouldn't be able to tell their story as well.
Yeah. In contrast to that, if you have, if someone came to you for an hour-long tattoo, what would you then do? Would you have an hour-long consultation about that?
I feel like
you wouldn't have taken that in the first place.
I haven't done little tattoos like that in a while. There for a while, before I was at Red Tree, I would do, I called it walk-in Wednesdays. So like the first Wednesday of the month, I do walk-ins, or maybe it was the last Wednesday. I can't remember now. But anyways, I would, you know, just set aside days just to have that like in and out, like when it's just, you know, a smaller tattoo that's maybe just a thing or a symbol or a word. You know, I don't feel like that there's not always there's not always more embellishment that needs to be done. But if we're talking a full sleeve,
right? So I'm just saying that it's just, you don't always need to take an hour, but when you got a big piece that you know you're gonna spend hours on, an hour consultation's nothing.
Yeah,
I feel like it's kind of relative to what the tattoo is going to be, but think about it, an hour a tattoo you're going to be spending 30+ hours on.
Yep, and there are
what's an hour to that?
There are some clients where, you know, I'll talk to them and let's say they're getting on a whole arm sleeve, but their idea is such where it's like, okay, well, I mean, yeah, we'll commit to the whole idea, but let's just talk about the upper arm first, because the lower arm will flow right off of it. You know, sometimes we can take it in smaller pieces, and then the story like develops even more as we get to know one another more. But I just think that consultation, there's a lot of magic that can happen. Sometimes I feel like it's almost inconvenient for some people to come in for their consultations until they get there and they actually see how much it's like that one-on-one attention. Like I might only actually have my iPad in front of me, like you said, for a half hour of the time, drawing and mocking up what we're going to be doing. But that like the conversation and the back and forth is just really, it's really important to the whole like outcome and story.
Mm-hmm.
I think. So if your artist is like, hey, we need to have a consultation, it's going to be in 3 months, and then your first appointment's 3 months from then, like, don't get frustrated. Sometimes that's just how it works, but like, you get that one-on-one attention and the ideas can really develop. So
I feel like it's really important for the big pieces. It's so nice to be able to talk in person.
Yep.
But traveling clients, what do you do for traveling clients? Like, what's your thing with traveling? Do you just keep it over email? Do you actually do video calls and all that, or can you usually keep it over email?
I try to keep it over email. And like, if I know they're traveling in, as long as I've got like a vague idea, usually I'll plan that first 2 or 3 hours of just like, I'll take my sweet old time setting up, and we'll maybe smoke once or twice before we even like get going, just so we like make sure we're on the same page, so that like whatever I've got mocked up is exactly like what they have in mind. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes we're literally starting from scratch, but that gives us the chance to actually like talk as we're building and mocking up the design together, as we're pulling references together, and they're watching me like scribble and mutilate my notebook.
Right. Yeah. I always notice you doing that.
Definitely. Yeah. Well, and that's one of the things that I talk about with my clients too, is like, and this is just for me, not all artists work near as off the cuff as I do, but I'm always like, whether this is a 4-hour tattoo or an 8-hour tattoo, or even if it's just like a 2-hour tattoo, I always remind my clients, like, I'm going to hog up your whole day. Like, plan on me hogging up your whole day. Like, tell your kids, tell your wife, I'm going to hog up your whole day.
Every time. Even if they come to me for a 2-hour tattoo, which is rare.
I
but
like it,
yesterday my tattoo is going to take 2 hours, and it'll just be like 5 hours. I don't charge for 2 hours, but just ended up being an all-day thing.
Yeah, sometimes you get in that vibe, and you start opening up with your client, and then it becomes this back and forth. And I think all of that adds. I think those
are my favorite. Those are my favorite days too. I feel like a lot of my good friends are just like tattoo clients, and I just like it's just like hanging out with a friend all day. So you're just like, oh, it's our chance to shoot the shit. So something that was 2 hours ends up taking 5 hours, because you're kind of talking and all that.
Yeah.
But when it's like that, I'm not gonna charge you for 5 hours when it was like 2 hours, and I know we're talking like a motherfucker.
Yeah, that's fair. So let's segue off of that. We've talked a little bit about consultations. Who did we have next? Derb.
Oh yeah, Derbil.
We had another episode with Derb Morrison. He and Tony were our first guests before we were going live. But we had him on again, and we talked about like.
Yeah, if you haven't checked out our first episodes, I don't know if you can access them. We haven't sent them to Sandy yet, have we?
They're all on tattoocollecting.com.
Are they? Oh yeah. So
chronological order.
Yeah, tattoocollecting.com. Well, you can see all the episodes before we started the reinventing, and so those are some fun interviews as well. They weren't live, so they were a little bit.
You get to see Jordan playing in VR. I actually kind of really like putting that one.
We got a little weird with some of those. Yeah, that's fun.
That one's good to like.
We'll get back into that as soon as we're able to not have. We're able to take it from the iPad and iPhone here to the computer, and we're running cameras to the computer. Then I can just bring up whatever and switch the screens.
More technological advancements.
More. We got this little webcam here we can do stuff with.
We can do things.
I don't know what we're gonna do with that, but cameras and technology
everywhere.
Okay, so yeah, before we get into the Derb thing, we got done with the Brian thing, then we circled back. So we were gonna talk about something about technology. What were you talking about? Boy, do I love me some technology.
Technologicals. I mean, we can talk about that a little bit. We just happened to talk about it with Brian. I
want Brian, be our Jamie. Come and hang out and help us out.
Come play with us.
Switch our videos for us.
Come play with us,
Switch
Brian.
the videos. Go from Fawn, me, then to you. You can switch it onto your face whenever you want. That's full access to the switch. Your own button.
So I actually feel like if we're going to talk about technology versus analog. Oh, man, not even been paying attention to the interweb. So we're going to talk technology. I feel like you and I are probably really good ones to talk about technology versus analog, because our processes are so like the epitome of each. I literally just like daydream and draw right on my client as if I'm like building an oil painting, where you like meticulously render everything on your computer, and then you build other models and you pull them into another program and you build another model, and it's like, oh, this is almost ready to make a stencil. I got to do 6 more processes to it. And then it's like, oh, that's going to be insane. But it comes out great where like, it's just our processes are polar opposites for how we tattoo. But like when we come together and paint, that seems to be pretty organic for both of us. So
It's funny how that works.
Yeah, one of the things that I think is really important is actually like knowing and understanding the like old-fashioned way of doing things. Like if you can build something without the technology, then the technology makes it even better. Do you agree?
Yeah, I completely agree.
I just feel like I tend to like build like a quick mock-up and then that's all I need. I've never actually
really,
like saw any of my digital art through to the point where it would be like print ready and
something that that's a big thing for me is like I remember you said before that you feel like I only paint to prove to myself that I can still paint. I find it a little bit true, but there's another part of it where like I love painting so much and I love just that like
there's a special kind of connection
that, like,
that
dinosaur
I don't think is there
connection
with digital art.
to actual analog paint, but I use all this technology to make a lot of things happen, even in my paintings, and to create like the original, you know, whatever my sketch is, and you know, use 3D modeling and things. Well, starting to. What?
I got us up now, so we can see if people talk to us.
Cool. I forgot what I was saying.
Sorry, I distracted us.
It's okay.
Back to painting. The connection.
Oh yeah.
I feel like there's nothing that can like duplicate the connection. Like your hand on the brush coated with the material, and the material being applied in all these different ways. Each motion of the wrist affects the flow. And I know there are all those subtle nuances that you can achieve with digital art.
Oh yeah, with satisfaction. That's what I was going to talk about. Exactly what you're saying.
To me, I miss that connection. Like anytime I'm doing anything digital, it's almost like I'm only rendering it to build it in real life. Like it's like for me, that's the daydreaming place where I want to build it elsewhere. Like that's my. It's almost like digital art is my magma doodle. It's just my like way to build the idea, and once the idea is just like barely stick people, that's enough for me to like take it and run with it in real life.
Yeah, I need things to be concrete. I need to have them in real life. So like imaginary things, I want them to be real. I think that's where so much of my creativity draws from. It's like I need these things to be real. I have this vision. I want it to be concrete in real life. So, but like when I'm on a computer, I can sit and spend days. I got so many digital paintings that I have spent days and days and days and days. Over 100 hours easy on a lot of these, and I never show them. I never bring them up. They're just in a file. I don't know. I can print them out, but once they're printed out, that'd be sweet. But unless it's real, I can put it on this big screen here, and it still doesn't mean nowhere near as much to me as if it was on a canvas.
I was thinking about getting some of my big, like weird, colorful paintings printed on aluminum. So you've got that frosted metallic. I think that would be cool for some of your digital art.
That's cool.
Yeah, but I'll have to show you some stuff.
Who does that?
There's a few companies that I found online that it's just like I can't remember what the printing process is called right now off the top of my head because of the material that we've been smoking.
Yeah. Well, pretty soon here.
Sublimation. It's sublimated onto the aluminum. That's the word. Sublimated.
What was I going to say? We are going to be selling all of our art here pretty soon. I don't know how much Fawn's gonna be putting on there. Imagine quite a bit, but
I've got a small series
just gonna be like
on there.
pumping through Red Tree, so you can go check out redtree.com. I think are we redtree.com? redtreetattoogallery.com.
I think it's redtreetattoo.com.
Okay. Well, check that out, and you can buy our art directly through us as well. But I mean, we got a nice systematic way we're going about this because Jules is a blessing, and happy Thanksgiving, Jules, because we're thankful for you.
Jules happens to be one of Derb's aides.
You saying Derb has AIDS?
It's got a few of them.
I like on this thing that she wrote, She wrote, she wrote, talk about AIDS, how they make life better.
And then we're listening to our podcast, and it's a segment where Durf's like, everybody should have AIDS. And what we're talking about is assistants, helpers.
Yeah, he was talking about jewels and assistants, and I was like, are you saying that you have AIDS?
Our conversation looped back to that a few times.
Yeah.
But anyways, what we were saying about that was Derb and I were talking about how, as he's like planning Hell City and stuff, it's not just him, it's the whole team of people, and it wouldn't be possible without
help.
AIDS.
Oh, everyone should have AIDS.
Oh man. Yeah, one of the cool things about Hell City and being able to be like,
that old
part of the team.
Relic Hell City that once existed.
Well, let's stay optimistic. Let's stay optimistic, Jordan. Let's stay optimistic. It could happen. It could happen.
I'm staying optimistic.
I
think it's going to.
One of the things that
just being dramatic, guys.
One of the things that always makes like Hell City special is just the team that Derb has behind him. Because a lot of what we spent our time talking with Derb about was we also talked about conventions, like just the future of conventions.
Mm-hmm.
There's gonna be like definitely health checks. It's hard telling what kind of precautions are gonna be like upon us.
Think about it. If we could get rapid testing, if that was an easy thing to have as rapid testing, you could rapid test every single person who came in.
I mean, it'd still be like a half-hour wait. I mean, even rapid testing still takes time.
That would be a big inconvenience. But
what if
that became an easy thing?
If I
everywhere
were
could be like that. If you're willing to wait a half an hour, that sucks. But I mean, I don't know. Look at your other options. Not going, or having to be like 30 people to a room that was once 200 or something like that. I mean, like, I'm not saying that in a negative way, because unfortunately that is the way things are going to have to be. Things are going to have to change, and people are going to have to be safe. But if we're going to make it, I mean, if Hell City is going to be a thing, that's something we talk about a lot, is how much we are going to accommodate for all of that, make sure things, health, codes are up to par, but also done well in a way people are going to enjoy.
Yeah, I'm sure Derb's not the only one, but we know like all of the convention promoters are working with health departments, and right now it's still pretty much out of the question everywhere, but one day it's gonna happen again. Yes, this grinder needs clean. It's got too much material residue.
Go Jira.
Hey Todd, what's up?
That's Todd?
Yeah, that's Todd.
What up, Todd?
He's the guy from Michigan that I'm always telling you about, but he knows
Tattooed
collectors galore. Wait till you see Todd's
Was Todd in Cleveland?
Detroit.
Was he the one who got tattooed?
Detroit. You came to the
tattooed by Jaded Moon?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember you, Todd.
Yep,
what up, Todd?
With us.
Yep, we smoked blunts. We're full of materials.
Oh, I can't wait to have Todd talk with us. We'll either have to go up and see him or have him come down and see us. But I can't wait. Todd's gonna have a great story.
Good dude, Todd. You're a good dude. Keep on getting tattooed. Come talk to us. We'll do it. We'll do an interview any old time.
Yeah. So we talked a lot about how COVID was affecting tattoo conventions, and like the possibility of, we're being optimistic and pursuing if Hell City is going to happen, but it's still like it's really out of our hands. How has, over the past couple of weeks, how has the COVID situation affected our lives, Jordan?
Bad. Badly.
First of all,
with
we're in
no
good
real
health.
sickness.
We're
good
in
health.
good health.
My coughs are weed coughs. We've already smoked a good amount of materials this morning. But COVID, yesterday was my first day back in I feel like a week or two, almost 2 weeks.
He's been walking around like this, like Ricky Bobby. I don't know what to do with my hands. But he started a rad painting.
Yeah, I'm doing a lot of things. But definitely, I stay busy when I'm alone. But Assassin's Creed Valhalla came out. I mean, I know a lot of you guys are enjoying that.
Keep sending me screenshots.
Oh yeah.
But
Did you see the tree? Did you see the tree of Yggdrasil?
I did.
See that shit?
Yeah,
Oh,
I've got
man.
several Tree of Yggdrasil projects going on right now, so it's really cool. It's like I've been learning
I'm
a lot
to go
about the
fuck
mythology
Jotunheim
from my
up.
I've been learning the mythology from my clients. Now Jordan's learning the mythology from the game, and it's all making sense, and the dots are connecting. All of these make-believe realms are becoming real. They exist.
Yeah, it's
somewhere.
fun. It's fun. I don't know. Even video games, I'm going through the game and I'm taking screenshots all over the place. And now they got camera modes, and so I just feel like Fawn, you would just go crazy over it. Would go if you the way you like do your sceneries and stuff and your Bob Rossi style landscapes and your fantasy style Bob Ross.
Bob Rossi.
Yeah, I mean, this whole game is just that. I think it's the light rays that really get me, because now games got ray tracing. They got all this crazy stuff that's just absolutely amazing. I love it. Keep it up. My computer, I got a good computer. It can't even hardly handle the game. I love it. I love that fact, because now it makes me want to get better stuff.
Brand new, top of the line.
Reference is what I was getting at. Is for tattoo artists, I've been taking so many references and getting really awesome light studies off of things that I will eventually use for something. If I have to do a landscape or I have to do any sort of fantasy landscape, I got like an arsenal of like 100 that I've gotten through the span of playing this game.
Would you like a deciduous forest or a coniferous forest? Hold on, let me find a different kind of pine scene.
Yeah, right. Oh, you want Thor in here, or you want Loki?
Perfect.
Yeah, or you want some Jotunheim fucking scum?
Can I get some Freya
Little
with
Freya.
some kitties? Can we get that, please?
Freya and some kitties.
Yeah.
The Queen of Asgard.
Yep. Throwing some Maine Coons, looking all majestic.
Oh man.
Yeah, the fantasy art gets
This
amazing.
This game makes me think about my other past reality where I have a son, and, a whole nother life and all that. Because all the time in the Assassin's Creed game, or not all the time, but once in a while you wake up because you're like not a time traveler, but you went back in time. You're kind of controlling this person back in time. And then you wake up and then you're like just this lady in 2020. It's like there's COVID going around still. There's all sorts of, it's just like normal, but like the end of the world. It's like the now times with the end of the world. But so I feel like I wake up and I'm like, oh my God, my whole life. Hunter!
Oh, Hunter. One of these days, I'm going to end up just getting you a random.
Yeah, it was like 8 years ago I woke up into 2020. I did not know what happened before that whole another life.
You know how when you go, like, let's say to the dollar store or the Walmart, and they have the frame aisle, and there's like random frames with random pictures of like families and people doing things. I'm gonna get you one of just like a weird child, some weird child doing something. It's gonna say $5.99 in the corner.
That does not sound good. Don't put a random child on my wall.
It's gonna end up in your workstation. You're just gonna look over and be like, Hunter?
This is Hunter. Like, what the fuck? That's my son.
From another dimension. There was another time and another place.
People are gonna think way worse things.
They're
gonna be
now.
like, who the fuck is this kid? Where is he? Who's he really?
I don't say $5.99 in the corner or $3.99 or however many 99 in the corner. It'll be fine.
Right.
Make it even funnier. Just a cheap frame.
My family.
Who's that? Hunter?
I think it should be a really nice frame with that inside. It's like $5.99.
If I end up being your secret Santa, Jordan, you're gonna know it was me.
Oh, who's gonna be my secret Santa?
Did
you fill yours out?
It's on my bulletin board at work. I need to do it.
Gotta do it too.
Slackers.
Gotta do it too. All right, this is materials number
2. Well, we had 2 at home, at my home, before we came to your home.
Okay. I hear producer number 1 at the door. He's outside. Be right back, guys.
Okay. Next, we're still on the recap episode. you're just joining us, you can catch all of these episodes at tattoocollecting.com. I've got a list of all the episodes in chronological order. So you can jump in, keep track of where you are, and they're all on one platform for you to kind of check out. What's the name of that page, Jordan?
Tattoocollecting.com.
Boom. So,
Producer number 1. Right here.
he
Use
looks
that
so
side.
handsome with his vest on.
I love that.
I feel like Rykat would hate me. Either one would hate me if I put a vest on.
You gotta start them early, man. Start them early. You do it midlife, they literally look at you. They want to tear your face off. They're like, why would you do this to me?
Lolo gets pretty excited and like on a mission. Like she gets ultra like, if I put a hoodie on her, she looks so stinking cute but serious at the same time.
That's so cute.
She wears a 4T. If you ever want to get a present for my dog.
A 4T.
Yeah, she wears a 4T.
Nice.
It's the shoulders. I gotta cut a V in the collar.
So off topic, I heard about some crazy space shit yesterday. I was watching The Planet on PBS. Coolest show ever.
Mhm.
Like it's like, I don't know. I think it was made like last year. They made The Planets like 10 years ago. It was really awesome. And then they made this one again, and it's like all the newest information. This is entirely not tattoo related, but so Saturn's rings. So, we think about Saturn's ring kind of just like being fairly flat, across the top. But actually, if you were standing on the rings, it would be like being in the Rocky Mountains. It was just like mountains everywhere. Just
Crazy.
Giant pillars and stuff, and all these shadows from all these pillars. They
Busted
were able to see it
shrapnels.
when they shot Cassini into it. They were like, this just happened a couple years ago where Cassini went into Jupiter, and it was like a 30-year mission. So all these people spent their entire lives working as one robot and finally like died basically. But when they seen the rings coming in, they did things they never imagined, and it was like stuff like that. And I'm like, that's so fucking crazy. It's like a record, literally like a fucking record.
But they expected them to be more gaseous.
More just like abstract gaseous, just like kind of particles suspended, as opposed to dynamic structures, like mountain ranges and stuff that you're going through, and just like giant, mountain-sized pillars all over the place.
Crazy. I figured it'd be like just smaller debris.
That's what I thought, right?
Smaller.
Truck-sized like rocks all over the place.
Yeah.
That's the way it was always explained to
not
me.
like city size.
They may be different densities of them, and maybe a few different densities through like the layers. But there's layers, but then at the top of them, they just rise up into all sorts of pillars.
So let me ask you this: if you're saying
What you think about
if you're
rings?
saying those rings is like a record, what happens if you put a space needle on them?
I put a space needle, it's gonna make an astrological hum. It's gonna go. No, listen, it's gonna say. Because it's space. Don't make sound. You ever play Star Fox back in the day? The old Nintendo game? So Star Fox, like, you'd be flying around in space, things would happen in space, and like asteroids would hit each other and be like, I play that game now and I'm like, wrong. Wrong. Don't make that noise. There's no noise. No noise in space.
Not even a no.
I think I don't know exactly. There might be some sort of energetic transfer that could create some sort of noise if it was registered on a device. But in terms of what noise is, and reverberate, like waves in the air, you're hearing wave changes in the air coming at you. There's no
So
air,
you're telling
you
me
can't have
there's
it.
not enough matter to
Sound
make sound
couldn't
matter?
exist. It couldn't just be a sound made. That's a weird thought.
But light travels.
Light, other waves can travel. I guess what they have found out, though, that there are different densities in space, and so different layers of space actually have different densities, and they're trying to figure out what these
So there's got to be
densities
sound
actually
that
are.
might not be perceivable to what we know as
That
sound.
could be very
But there's
correct.
going to be the
The vacuum
transfer
might
of
not actually be
energy.
fully. I've got my degree in astrology. I think I know what I'm talking about here. I won't tell y'all what.
Oh, man. So, jumping down another rabbit hole, I discovered a
I like
movie.
space. I do.
I discovered a movie on Amazon Prime, and I started watching it because I
Thank
saw
you.
like, oh, produced by Johnny Knoxville. This is gonna be great. And it was like the amazing whites of Boone County or something to that effect. But it is the most Appalachian family I've ever seen in my life. I'm like lightweight obsessed with it. Like I thought I knew, I don't want to use any derogatory terms or anything, but I thought I knew some, I don't even want to say country folk. I thought I knew some doozies, but this family, this whole family,
Backwoods
Ooh.
country mountain folk.
Backwoods rebels. They all consider themselves rebels. And they all talk like this. Even the one that claims to be the sexiest one in the whole family. I'm like, how do you get a voice like that? Like, what are, you can't be smoking, that can't be from cigarettes. That's gotta be from like a crack pipe. Because how does that happen? Maybe it's cigarettes. Maybe it's a lot of cigarettes.
Yeah, no, it's from.
It can't be this material.
Screaming,
Definitely not this material.
from screaming and yelling, smoking.
Oh, they were doing some at-home tattoos as well.
Let's do it related. Let's talk about.
They did some at-home tattoos, and then also there was a scene where they did some professional tattoos, and they were actually pretty nice, except in the Confederate flag and all. Worth watching. Like, I'm not gonna say it's like comical, but it's one of those things where like once you start watching it, you just can't take your eyes off the screen. It's like one train wreck after another, after another, after another, and then it's over.
Okay.
And you want to watch it again.
Interesting.
To make sure you caught it all. But the amazing whites of Boone County. I learned a lot. I learned a lot about tattoos.
No.
I learned a lot about inspiration for the tattoo.
Nice. You want to talk about inspiration for tattoos, man? You got a thing going on your thing.
Oh, let me go check it.
Our Instagram live as having a technical difficulty momentarily. Nope, we're back. Okay, so what I was going to say, another unrelated tattoo matter. We'll circle back to the tattoos here in a minute. But if you want proof that UFOs are real, David Fravor, man, look that guy up. Look that up.
So
I don't even need to go into it. Just look him up. I don't know if aliens are real. I'm going to say they're real, but I'm no expert there. UFOs are real.
Believe.
UFOs are real. And anyone listening to this, just check that shit out. I know you guys think so.
What about the Bigfoot?
Bigfoot? I love entertaining Bigfoot. I don't know. I've never seen a Bigfoot, but
I feel like
love
Bigfoot could
entertaining
be
it.
out there. That's one of the things we talked about with Joey.
I
Mythical.
think if you were to look at it though, of like how the percentage of what I think Bigfoot, how like the percentage of how much I believe Bigfoot exists versus how much I believe aliens exist, I think like the statistic or like the number there would be way in favor of aliens being real. It's like the trillions and trillions of planets that are out there versus, the idea that there's some giant family of monkey people. I think they're out there.
It definitely
I
takes
think
an
they
open-minded
could be.
person to believe that they're out there.
I think they could be, but I think aliens are for sure out there. I don't totally know if they're interacting with us. I'd love to believe it. I've seen a lot of UFOs, but David Fravor, man, if you've seen UFOs, you don't even need to tell people. Whatever, just tell them about David Fravor. Because that's the man, dude. He's a man. He was in the Air Force. He was like a Navy, he was an Air Force commander. And he's seen that shit. He got a video. He talks hours and hours and hours about it. And he's still part of it.
Yeah.
He's still with them. They're all cool about it. They all talk about it. They've been trying to figure out what it is.
Oh, this was the fighter pilot that saw something.
Yep.
Yes.
But there was like 4 different ones that he's seen. And a lot of them are like 15-minute long videos of them following it.
Not just
One
little
of them that
blips.
was like 3 feet off of the water until it found it. They seen it on the radio. Their fucking sonar thing. They seen it on that like 3 feet off the water, and then it ended up zipping up super high or whatever. But they were saying that when it was right above the water, it was fairly small. I said it was like the size of like a car, but there was no rotor. So it couldn't have had rotors on it.
Well, you've said it before, and I totally agree
because there was nothing on the water, and they knew it was that close to it.
It's like some of the things you've seen, or like this is
So I'm not
described,
gonna
or
say
like
go
what
on.
I've seen. you've mentioned before that you think they're just drones, like just coming down to observe. Not necessarily that they're even like a manned vehicle per se, but just a drone that's pinging information back.
I don't totally believe they. I mean, I don't want to say I'm 100% with that, but I think that's the most reasonable explanation. Is that like if
I mean,
they're
we don't send manned
they're an
spacecraft to
extraterrestrial
Mars.
drone. I mean, why would they take a chance and come here if they got drones that can see things just as well or something? Who knows? Maybe they have. I mean, they probably have way more control over them than what we would have over a drone. There's potential of us having some really wild drones, and it could be that. I don't totally doubt that, but they're pretty wild on there. And he is like, I'm 99.9% sure that there's nothing on Earth that can do the things that these are doing. So I'm not going to say it's aliens, but I'm 99% sure that there's aliens.
If you saw this, you know. You know, you know.
And it's one of the people that it's like, if anyone's in the know what's going on, I mean, for the most part.
I don't know.
Navy commander.
I've always believed.
Not Navy, Air Force.
I did see something a few years ago, and that like
I don't think he's lying.
solidified it.
I don't think he knows everything. He just has his experience, and then he was a commander, so he brought it to everybody else.
Mm-hmm. We should do. You know what? When we are able to do walk-in tattoos again, we should do a alien themed walk-in day. Just prepare a whole bunch of little alien flash, and I think that could be fun. It's going to be a while before we can do random walk-ins, but when the day comes, that would be really fun.
I haven't had a walk-in day in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't mind.
Yeah, we should. When the time comes. When the time comes. Okay, so who else have we talked to?
So we talked to Austin.
You want to talk new school first, or you want to talk traditional first?
Well, we can talk a little bit about new school. I really liked our talks with Austin. I remember exactly what we were.
So I can't remember which number it was. If you go to tattoocollecting.com, click on the Austin Yancey episode, you'll be able to hear all the stuff we're talking about. But Austin is this rad new school tattooer. I actually met him. He was a client of mine, but like we've gotten to know each other, and he's just growing so fast as an artist. I'm his biggest cheerleader, I think. I absolutely love everything that he does. One of the things I really like about Austin's work is everything is just so exaggerated. Like his characters are always doing fun, crazy things, which, you know, is characteristic of new school, but he does such crazy things with his colors. You know what I mean? A lot of times you'll see new school artists, but the colors are incredibly believable, or the color scheme is like follow specific rules. And then along comes Austin and everything's like muted here, neon here, and like black jewel tones here, and it just looks beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, just, absolutely.
Yeah.
Just such a
it's
solid,
like
solid fill and saturation. And the gradients super well. Same piece that he did, I think, yesterday, or they posted yesterday. That was really well done.
Austin talked a lot with us about like the inspiration for some of his tattoos and just like the inspiration to his drawing styles. And I'd never even really thought about it, but he was talking about how he pulls a lot of inspiration from like super old cartoons. And I thought that was pretty rad. Like,
I remember saying that.
Yeah. I just thought that was rad. Like, you know, I guess I imagine new school as being like new, modern, bubbly, exaggerated, but to hear him like, and I think he totally nailed it on the head. I just hadn't actually thought about it like this, but when he was like, it's just taking those same cartoon shapes and pushing those old shapes and exaggerations, and it really like connected a lot of dots for the style for me, like how they just like just the drawing and daydream process to take the idea and tell the story in the way that an animator would. You know, I can just try and tell my story the way that a sculptor or the way that a painter would, but to like wrap my head around an idea as if I am not making a scene, but I'm making like an action scene. I'm making the story actually happen. I'm not telling the story with a picture. I'm putting this action in it, and it's all exaggerated. Right. It was just cool to hear it described in those words, where like it turns it into a totally different kind of art. And it's almost like I'm not making a picture, I'm making a quick movie. I'm making a movie in the blink of an eye. And I thought that was kind of cool. Like,
Okay.
just to, I guess one of the things is like, how do you find new school versus how do you define new traditional versus how do you define this? And I think our whole conversation with Austin kind of put a lot of that definition out there.
Yeah. I feel that. Yeah, that's what we want.
It just never occurred to me that it was like capturing that moment of action. And that's what like just draws your eye in with Austin's work, with like Franklin Natra, with Jesse Smith. Each one of their characters is like doing these crazy things. Like they've always got big googly eyes, but the eyes are always looking out at the scene. And they're always doing something. They're always running to something or taking something from something, or there's always this story that's happening right in the moment that scene was captured. And it just never occurred to me how special of a way of storytelling it really, the new school tattoos, like big, full, illustrative new school tattoos really are. So that was kind of a neat connection that happened. As much as Austin and I have had talks about how we both approach our work, it was really cool to like just kind of get that deeper understanding just from like chilling with him and just talking about like, what are your inspirations? What makes you drawn to new school and what makes you want to push this style further? I think it was a good conversation.
Absolutely.
Worth listening to.
Absolutely. Definitely worth listening to.
Not to keep plugging our previous episodes, but
those episodes, man, they were good. Go back and watch them.
Okay, well,
they were good.
Listen to the Austin one because I think we talked about a lot of really just defining things for me that kind of separate why and how new school artists brainstorm and daydream the way that they do. So nice. like if you're collecting a new school piece, this might, or you want to collect a new school piece, this might help you understand the kind of things that your artist of choice might want to hear. Like, oh, you want this crazy squirrel. Okay, you like squirrels. Well, what is the squirrel doing? What's the scene like around the squirrel?
Right.
There's always a story to it. It's not just a squirrel sitting there. It's the squirrel's doing something. What kind of squirrel is it? Like, squirrel stealing something? Is the squirrel pack ratting stuff away? Like, what's going on? And I'm just using a squirrel for an example because you see them a lot in new school, but squirrels, rodents, little critters,
right?
Raccoons,
right? Gets the point across. Yeah. We've all seen them.
Mm-hmm. Skateboarding lizards,
Mm-hmm.
But they're always doing something. There's always like action packed. Yeah. Listen to it. New school,
neo-traditional.
What do we talk about with Joey and Ben?
Traditional. And
traditional.
Then more traditional.
Traditional and traditional. I was a little worried about
the differences between traditional and traditional as well.
I was we didn't like deliberately plan to put two traditional artists back to back or traditional like collectors back to back, but I think it worked out really, really well because they both had such different points of view for the same passion or for a similar passion. I like the way that when we were talking with Joey, he talked a lot about the history of tattoos, and he kind of defined traditional tattooing as like solid traditional images that have been like passed down. We use like the Rock of Ages, for example, but you've seen like the panther tattoos, you've seen sparrow tattoos, you've seen, we could go on and on, but there's just lists of all these different images that we've seen throughout the modern history of tattooing that, those images are meant to be displayed a certain way.
About, like passing those down, and basically, it's like, it's proper to recreate.
Yeah, you're preserving the story.
It's almost worse to go off and with some of those to go off and do your own thing with it, because it is like you're saying, that Rock of Ages type things. It's passed down.
Yeah.
that was passed
I
down.
thought that was pretty cool.
But I mean, there's different views on it, because then you get artists who want to change it up and want to do their own thing and stuff. But then I think it is starting to get away from like, kind of what Joey was saying as like a real traditional value of a traditional tattoo that is passed down.
Like
But,
what we kind of talked about it as if it was like an actual folk art, which I do think tattooing is an absolute folk art. It is a folk art. It is also a fine art. It is every kind of art you could imagine at this point. But with folk art, there are these stories attached to the images, and that's part of it. I think there's a lot that's really special to that. And then when we talked to Ben, we talked a little bit more about like the actual like traditional tattooing process. So that's where I think the magic was, to have them like back to back. It was like with Joey, we got like the magic of just like the love for these traditional images that were the stair steps for what is possible today. And paying tribute to those stories, paying tribute to those older artists that came before us. And I think that was really special. I think it was really special that he talked about how important it is to collect from the generation of artists that came before us. Like, he pointed out that a lot of them aren't even necessarily on social media, but if it wasn't for them doing what they were doing and submitting their pictures to magazines in their time,
right.
doing what they did, we wouldn't even have the ability or understanding, or like if it wasn't for their steps first, you and I wouldn't be able to do the crazy, like me painterly and you the type of technical crazy stuff that you do.
Right. They walk so we could run.
Absolutely. But I think it was really important the way that he brought up collecting from them. Like we still have the chance to let's talk about Marty, because we talk about Marty all the time. We talked a lot about Marty with Joey. Marty's the perfect example. He's scheduling new appointments all the time, new clients. He loves working. He loves sharing his art. Like, he's incredibly not exclusive at all. I don't know how long his actual wait list is, but like Marty loves taking on new clients. So, if you want to collect from somebody historic and iconic, you can still collect from Marty. And that's just in our area. Just take the opportunities that you have. Like, if you respect traditional tattoos, like, seize the opportunities that we have while we have them to collect from these prolific figures that like paved the way for us.
Yeah.
I think that's something that I actually really look forward to having Joey on again, so we can delve into it even more. I would love to just touch more about
again. I thought that was fun.
About what he's learned and the trips that he's gone on. He shared the story about tattooing at Lyle Tuttle's grave.
Yeah, right.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Tattooing at Lyle Tuttle's grave.
Yeah, I thought that was really rad. But those stories need to be shared, and like those of us that do know little bits of history, we need to share that history, but we also need to collect from the artists that we still can. Like, there's always going to be new talent every day. There's going to be new styles. There's going to be new people pushing it further and further. But it's really important to collect, like from the Godfathers. You know what I mean? Like, I'm really looking forward to collecting something from Marty. I still don't know what. I keep bouncing different ideas around, but soon it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Well, what would you get if you got something from Marty? Like
a dragon? A dinosaur.
He's like the dragon master, man. Dragons,
T-Rex.
Wizards, unicorns.
Get a T-Rex dragon.
Yeah, a T-Rex dragon.
Centipede dragon.
He'd do it, man. He'd make.
I would get a
be so magic
dragon,
and probably be like engulfed in magic, colorful flames, with the wizard casting the spell in the background. It'd be nuts.
Just like
and then a majestic sunset.
Bio flaps, just like flying like a tapeworm.
Bio flaps with majestic sunset.
Right. Little centipede dragon mouth.
Oh, what are we gonna get him into?
That would be it. It just sounds like a flying tapeworm monster. I would love it.
Flying up close
No.
centipede tapeworm monster. That's disgusting.
Centipede dragon.
Mm-mm. So we talked to Ben Rice next. What did we talk about with Ben?
How he likes traditional tattoos and how he
Yeah.
likes to tattoo. And he likes to do his thing with things, and he takes a little bit more of an, sounds like he takes a little bit more of like a neo approach. I wouldn't say neo traditional, but more, just like a newer view on traditional, where a lot of things have the traditional values, but he'll do his thing with things, or he'll do an old tattoo.
Mm-hmm. I like the way Ben.
He gives the the traditional tattoos their respect while still catering to his client and catering to what they want.
Yeah, I like the way that Ben takes. He can take any idea and he'll simplify it in the way that like a limited artist early on would. He simplifies it to the most important lines. He simplifies it to the most basic colors. He doesn't necessarily stick to like the traditional color schemes. He uses bright, bold, brilliant colors.
Very intentional with his thirds rule is something I remember him talking about a lot.
Mhm.
And then his spit shading.
Yes.
Is so well. His black shading in his traditional tattoos. You see that in all his tattoos. It's so
Yeah.
well done. And you see when he paints too, that's super intentional.
Mhm.
Spends a lot of time really getting those perfect gradients. And
Yeah.
that's respectable, because I don't know a lot about watercolor and spit shading. So it's awesome.
It definitely takes patience, but it's really nice to see. Just back to the analog versus digital.
So much fun,
he
yeah.
could just hit the gradient button on an iPad, but to like take the time and work that little bubble of water and pull that
Mhm.
gradient out with
And
the
it's fun to
tip of
hear.
the paper.
Fun to hear and I love like that's one of my favorite things to do is when I'm picking an artist's brain, is I love to hear about how they like take pleasure from it. And so
Mhm.
like taking pleasure of like moving that little bubble around, and he's like, oh man, it's so awesome. He's moving this little bubble of water around. I'm like, I eat that
I
up.
feel your
because
excitement,
that is
man.
why I love art, is the feeling I have while I'm doing that shit. You're just laying painting and you're just seeing something come to life. You're just like inner orgasms. It's like it's got nothing to do with people seeing it. It's got everything to do with how I'm seeing it. And I'm just like, oh yeah, look at that. There. Oh, yes. I don't know, man. I get rushes. I feel all sorts of good. Sorry.
What was that?
We
got personal
I got
fast.
hot. I
So
love
you mentioned Ben's rule of thirds. What was Ben's rule of thirds?
What was third color, third black, third lines?
A third color, a third black.
I don't do traditional, so I don't remember exactly.
third
but he keeps
skin.
everything. Yeah, there we go.
We talked about how important it is, not just in like a traditional tattoo, but in a lot of tattoos, to actually have that skin break showing through. How like the actual color of the skin, it will add to the tattoo. So instead of like necessarily, a lot of my work, I do fully saturate edge to edge, and it's just layer of color upon layer of color. But there are a lot of tattoos that I do where it is like 30 or 40% of skin show through. I still have that balance of like skin breathing versus like my dark jewel tones. So even like outside of traditional tattooing, like even outside of that world, it's really nice to keep that balance between your like black and color saturation and then the skin breathing through. I feel like in your work especially, like if you get carried away with all the black, it can start to read as just very black from a distance. But when you get up on it, it's going to be all these intricate textures where, if you choose to stipple an area as opposed to saturate it fully black, you're going to get a totally different effect that reads differently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I just like I just like that we touched on how important that the skin break. I guess I don't know a better way to say it. It's just how magic that skin break is.
I think that is really
all
important.
styles of tattooing.
I try to incorporate as much as possible. I don't do a lot of color work these days, but when I am doing color work, always the skin it's pigment, and to me it's just like working with a tinted canvas. And that's why I like working with a tinted canvas so much when I'm painting, is because I almost bring it down to what would normally be a skin tone
Mm-hmm.
to or something near it, and then the way I work into that is I don't know. I can just see it come to life so much quicker. And if you see the skin like that when you're doing a tattoo that's going to end up being 3D,
Yep.
you can see it come together if you see that as already a pigment that you're working into.
It's like you've already got your middle tones, so you've only got to worry about your darkest darks, maybe a medium dark, and then highlight.
Mm-hmm.
Work with that medium range that's already kind of given to us. But I think there's a lot of magic in how like tattoos settle and how they look over time too. When you've got the appropriate amount of like skin break showing through, and you've got the appropriate amount of, because people's like complexion changes. Some people are way darker in the summer, and some people are like,
right.
Some people
like
stay.
Good examples, like a lot of what Nathan Marty did, like skin breaks, like right there. It looks like, it looks like a highlight, but it's just, they can't really see it, but this would be good stuff to get on camera. But what we're talking about with those skin breaks, there's so much skin tone being used with this tattoo.
Yep, the skin actually acts as more of the white, and then it makes your white highlights minimal and not near as like painstaking to put in.
Mm-hmm. It looks so good. Like if you put white in there and did that out, like you'd have to go through the whole tattoo and do like neutral grays or some shit for that to look good. I mean, this.
Yeah, there's magic of like
it
skin
helps
that
the simple,
breathes.
and it makes, in essence, will make things simpler for you. Is the thing. Like it really will simplify your process if you do that more. So the way I see it.
Mm-hmm. Adam's work, like for a color artist, Adam's a really good example of how he definitely allows the skin to still breathe. I love how saturated my leg is, but when you get up close, it's really a lot of skin breaks and kind of like textural, like whip shading and stuff that, from a distance it looks solid and silky, but up close you're still seeing that skin kind of like.
Totally.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it adds to the tattoo. Sometimes wall-to-wall saturation isn't necessary. So that's a cool thing to just keep in mind. I like working both ways, wall-to-wall saturation and like a very transparent style. But I just think it's a good reminder that like even those of us that are wall-to-wall saturating everything all the time, be open-minded and just remember that like the skin is a beautiful thing. Like the skin is a beautiful thing and should be incorporated in the tattoo and not necessarily hidden.
Yeah, depending, it just, know how to read your piece, know how to read what you want out of your art, and see if that's something that you can achieve a higher result by doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you want to fully saturate. That's cool. Maybe
it's kind of like the difference between. Do you want it to look like a tattoo was meant to be there and has always been there, or do you want it to look like it has been applied? Like
we're starting to be a little how to tattoo here. I don't mean to be like that, but I mean I feel like it's good.
Yeah,
it's good thoughts.
Yeah, there's
good
just
thoughts.
A couple different approaches.
As a collector, I feel like a lot of people do. They don't know what to think about like how someone's going to go about something.
Yeah, I've had people ask me about skin breaks.
Having that right off the bat and being like, I do like some skin breaks here and there. But sometimes you don't always want to be the know-it-all.
Yeah. Sometimes I've had clients ask me like, "Are you going to color that there?" It's like, "Well, no. I want that to show. That'll stay there. We're letting that breathe." But it goes back to like each piece is a little bit different and requires different things, and Let's see. What else did we talk about? We talked about
122. Hour and a half on here already. We're doing good. We'll probably only go another like 10 minutes or so. I gotta go to Red Tree and pick up. I left my freaking pen for this, and I gotta draw all day for my tattoo tomorrow. Left it at Red Tree last night, so I gotta do that. We won't keep this too long. I mean, if we keep going for a little while, that's fine. But we also, I guess I was excited to talk about that. I go back to Guy in a couple weeks from now.
Oh yeah. So
we're going there. Hopefully you can join if you can't.
I got to do some communicating with my clients. I've got somebody coming in from out of town, and because of COVID, this is the era of communication.
I'm gonna need a homie if not. Who wants to go see Guy?
This is the era of communication and reschedules. Do you agree?
Oh my God.
So I've got.
Oh, we didn't. I didn't even go. We talked about me being quarantined for the past 2 weeks and how did COVID affect our lives. Fawn got quarantined too because she touched me after I got touched.
Well, so
it's all right. Bless those touches.
So Jordan's friend came to town, and she's awesome, and we smoked blunts together. That's what happened. We smoked blunts together.
Yeah.
The three of us.
But turns out she was negative. We all ended up being negative. It just took a little while for us to get our tests back and everything, and so that just.
So we just to be precautionary.
We're all negative.
We went into
Everything's good.
quarantine, got tested. We're all back to work, but it just goes to show like how serious this is. And
I've rescheduled over a dozen appointments the past couple weeks or past month or two.
Yeah.
Because I mean, this was the first quarantine I had to go through.
Well, depending on like the travel situation, I think I may need to
3 or 4.
reschedule my Michigan trip. I was supposed to go to Michigan the first week of the month and catch up on some of my projects there.
I was supposed to be in Michigan right now.
But I think I'm going to postpone
Sorry,
that
Mom.
so I don't
I love
end
you,
up getting
Grandma,
quarantined on my
Dad,
way
everybody.
back.
I'll see you in Christmas.
This quarantine situation. I mean, it's necessary, but it's really, I don't know. It's just more motivation to continue to take things seriously for us, because it is so like if I come in contact with somebody again, that could be a few days to 2 weeks that I have to reschedule all my appointments and shift my schedule around. And
It's really difficult. I really hope I don't have to quarantine again. And it's so fucking simple to get quarantined.
mm-hmm.
All you gotta do is get touched by someone.
Get touched.
You get touched. Get coughed on.
Breathe.
Don't get licked on.
Quit breathing the air, Jordan.
Breathe.
Quit breathing the air.
Get out of my era. You're in my era. My little area.
I felt like before this, I had a pretty large bubble of personal space, but like now everybody's personal space bubble is as big as mine. I'm kind of okay with that, really.
I got no problem. 6 feet. That would have been cool with me forever. Always.
Yeah, I'm cool. I'm
cool
cool with the
6 feet.
personal space bubble. However, it's getting weirder and weirder, the lack of eye contact with strangers. Like, sometimes I go out and I'm antisocial and I want to be in and out. Other times when I go out and I know it's going to be busy and people-y, like, I like to talk to every person in every aisle. I'm like, oh, you like that kind of cereal? You should try this one. I tried this last week. Amazing. Like, I like being that person. Or like, oh, here, let me reach that for you because I'm tall and can reach the top shelf. Like, COVID era, not even eye contact.
Okay. Can you smile with your eyes? In essence, they're frowning.
Extra squint.
So you just gotta imagine, like,
you kind of look startled though at the same time, like, oh, it's you.
then it's like, I'm just smiling, but really, I'm like,
oh man, Jordan's a creepy shopper.
Yeah, I don't know. I enjoy it personally. I don't mind lack of human contact.
Well, I mean, you're half robot, so you're happy there.
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes you need it, but when I feel like when I'm going to the store, and when I am getting groceries and all that, I really don't care that much about all that human contact and talking to everyone and shooting the small shit about spaghetti sauce and shit. I don't know. But I understand being a friendly neighbor and a nice person.
Yeah.
Now that the election's over, hopefully people are going to act nicer to each other. But with all that going on, it's just like, I don't know. Makes me want to revert inside and not talk to people.
I feel like, here's the thing. I love working so much and I love what I do so much and I'm so passionate about so many projects that I'm working on. That's the biggest motivation for me to stay healthy. Isn't that crazy? Like, it's not even really my health. Like, my health is like, whatever. If I get it, I'll deal with it. Like, I hope it's okay. I hope my immune system's tough. Like, if I get it, I'll deal with it. But like the artist, the passionate person in me is like, no, you can't get it, because if you get it, you can't work. You can't do these things, and I can still paint. I can still I can still make music. I can still play. I can still do things. I can keep myself busy and motivated, but like, I can't do what I want to do. I can't keep these projects progressing that I passionately want to see through. So I think it's just crazy that like my motivation for staying well is so that I can continue to make art for other people. If I get sick, I can't do that. And it could be 2 weeks that I can't do it. It could be months that I can't do it. And that's a bummer, man. Like, I don't want to say it's a phobia or a fear, but like that's a reality. It's if I become unwell, then I can't work for however long.
That's true.
That's taking away the thing that I loved most. The thing that, like, you know, I don't want to say like the thing that keeps me going, but it kind of is. Like, it's the thing that, like,
that's what I realized
every day
in
I look
the
forward to my
quarantine.
tattoos.
That's what I realized in quarantine is that, like, I don't know. I realized how much happiness I do draw from actually working all day, and it's not from working and necessarily making money. Yes, money does make me happy in essence. I feel like it's just kind of like a stability thing. It's like, you know, more I feel comfortable with the money that I have and being stable in life, it does bring a level of happiness higher. So yes, in some essence, money does bring some happiness, but it's not about that. It's about creating. And if I'm not creating tattoos and I'm not at the shop all the time, like being here for like 2 weeks, like it was affecting. It was starting to get on me. I was just like, I don't know, not as confident in myself and things, you know, just because you're just at home, not really doing much. I don't have any social contact. I'm just like, man, I would like to be at work doing my normal thing because that's where I draw all my social interaction and stuff. I don't want to say a confidence thing. It's just like almost like a slight depression.
A slight depression, a non-work depression.
Right. I'm just not, I think I draw a lot of energy from it. Draw a lot of energy from actually working and accomplishing things. And so I think that's why I stay so busy when I'm here.
Sorry, I'm a slow texter.
That's all right.
It's all right.
But get some back tattoo, some tattoo pain. Be letting her know about you.
Yeah.
Nice.
The yo message. Okay, she stepped away.
Well, Guy, I will see you here pretty soon.
So
2 weeks from now.
For anybody who might be watching or listening, what would you be going to see? What would you be going to see Guy about? What's going on?
I got a little tattoo we're working on. He's going to away, this little guy.
What was your last trip like?
My last trip, what was it like?
Yeah, tell us about your last trip, and then just give us like a 5 to 7 minute rundown of your last visit, and then show off your back tatty, and then talk about what's going to happen next.
5 to 7 minutes. I know it's a lot of pressure, but so last time, we did a podcast as well. You can check that out on our website, Tattoo Collecting.
I think that's the one labeled Guy Aitchison. It might be like Guy Aitchison on the road.
So that was my trip out there. We started my back piece, which was so far a 2-day endeavor. So went out there, got that started. That was an experience for sure. I went out there knowing that it was going to be a lot to get through, and came out realizing, it was a fucking lot to get through.
You did super good though. Those were 2 really challenging days.
I tried to not complain.
Where'd you guys focus on the first day?
The first day was just pure center of the spine.
Like
and I don't want to say it was like ungodly
shape.
Horrible. I mean, it was like all tattoos hurt pretty bad. Back tattoos hurt. You're covering a lot of space on, but we're 5-6 hours in on just about 1.5 foot by a foot space.
A lot of really intricate stuff. It was all like rounds and like
all
5 max maybe.
Yeah, that was a little difficult. And then the second day was a little bit better. We were working in quadrants of the back, so we kind of worked on we got a good layer done on my entire back in 2 days, and about probably 10 to 14 hours that we spent on it. But that was a good time. Guy's place is really great. Hyperspace out in Illinois is super awesome. He's just got 40 acres of land out there.
Oh, I don't know how much
Tons of acres of land area.
It's tucked back there.
Full of you don't only hang out in the grass for too long. Little bugs in your feet out there. Chiggers, man.
Awful.
Oh man, I never dealt with chiggers before.
Don't go for walks.
Yeah.
Go for walks.
Just wipe your legs off when you get back with alcohol.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you bring your dog, don't let them hang out in the grass all day.
Yeah.
They keep rustling back.
Well, I sprayed them down real good too.
It's okay.
Before and after.
It's okay, but be prepared for bugs in a strange place.
It's worth the visit for sure. It's worth the hike.
Yeah,
take the walk.
Shit.
If you visit hyperspace, take the walk around the lake. Just stay on the path and don't stop and look at anything. don't like step off the trail and take photos of things.
Fair.
I think that was our mistake because you know how I'm like, oh, look at this, come close.
Yeah, as soon as you stop, they hone it.
And then I got to get it from all the different angles.
They're
and
all
then,
like, oh, foot.
oh, something warm, fleshy, great, awful. I don't recommend it.
Yeah.
I recommend taking the walk.
Yeah, take
But
walk.
just keep it
Take a
moving.
walk there. Go out to hyperspace.
That's really
hit
kind of a
guy
rule
up,
of thumb
get
in
a
nature
big bio
anyway.
piece from him. Look his work up and ask him for something that he does.
So, do you want to show them your back?
Oh yeah. Well, I'll do my best to show you guys.
Oh yeah, you can kind of see it. Yeah. Lean forward a little.
Hello.
Hello. Okay. So that's just the first layer. Yes.
Well, here I got shoulders and stuff. Probably a little bit better than just doing that. But yeah, first layer so far. Okay, I can see in the video back here. But yeah, first day was all in the center.
Oh yeah, that looks good.
Nice. Yeah, first day was all in the center, and then the next day was just quadrant by quadrant. Nice. I never get a chance to see it either, so it's kind of cool seeing it in this video. But yeah, it's going to be full blasted color. So this next session in 2 weeks from now, I can't even imagine how it's going to look after that.
It's gonna start looking so colorful and beautiful. He really does work fast for as much ground as he covers. It's gonna be probably a few more visits for you, but it's really gonna come together after this next session.
Already way more than I thought was going to be done in 2 days. So thanks, guy. See you soon.
True or false? Most gentle tattooer that's worked on you.
True. True, for sure.
Yeah, I think he's definitely very gentle.
It definitely feels like a tatty blaster on your back, but it's I'm not gonna say anything about anyone else, but yeah, I mean, not that bad. Definitely doesn't feel like the needle's sticking super far out.
Yeah.
And he's very gentle. He doesn't just constantly wipe everything on the tattoo. He works in his area that he's working, and he doesn't work around that. You know what I mean? Like he will wipe that area, and then he will like lube that little area, but he won't go and just wipe the whole area and then just lube the whole area up.
Right.
Every time he like wipes or like suit all the time, he will get a lot of dips and a lot of little wipes until he's finally wiping a whole area, and like always just like fingertipping a small area. You know what I mean? With ointment. So much better. And I find myself all the time when I'm tattooing people wiping those whole areas, and now I think I'm a lot gentler with people, and I do stay in smaller areas because of how
little gentle.
Yeah, how thankful. Yeah, exactly. How thankful I am on my back for that, because just thinking like, oh my God, I'm so thankful you're just working these little areas like that, or like at least when you're wiping, and then when you're putting ointment on.
And then there's always
I'm not constantly getting this whole like back wipe,
Then there's always the back team. How do you feel about back team, Jordan?
I have learned to use it on all of my clients, and on me, it's great.
As
So
a collector
good.
and a tattooer, that back team is amazing.
Bring a bottle of back team with you to every tattoo you go to. Don't expect your artist to have it. I hope they have it.
Yeah, if your artist has it and uses it, awesome.
I'm not dogging on artists. Like, if you guys have it, that's awesome for your clients. If they don't, but I mean, as a client, don't always expect them to. And it's $5 a bottle. It ain't shit. So just get a bottle. And
yeah, it's pretty amazing. Like, even if you are getting tattooed,
your artist doesn't even need to use soap. They can just use that the entire time. Don't tell them what to do. Let them do their thing. But
I use back team to rinse all the way through now.
All the way through.
It feels so good.
I'll use green soap sometimes, just maybe to get extra ink off. But really, for the most part, the back team just gets it all off, and it's antiseptic. So you're
for collectors,
you're doing great.
Here's the trick.
And
If your artist doesn't already use Bactine, I'm going to let you know an amazing trick. And this really won't complicate anything at all for your artist whatsoever in any way. Okay, once you have gone to whatever store you choose to buy your Bactine or Bactine Max, go with the Bactine Max if they've got it.
Or Amazon.
It's going to be like $5 to $8 a bottle, worth the investment. Here's the thing. While you're sitting and getting tattooed, have the bottle in your hand. Activate the little top. It's a little weird, but you'll figure it out. Click it, then it sprays. Once it sprays, it's real soft, fine mist. A lot of people think that Bactine stings. I don't know why, because it feels like heaven. You might get a little burn for the first few seconds, but that's the magic.
Yeah, let that burn's a good burn because you know the next thing that's coming is not this.
So anytime your artist wipes your tattoo and then goes to either dip for more ink or change colors, I want you to take that bottle with the pump spray and just one mist on your tattoo while your artist is getting your ink or next color or rinsing their needle. Like each time your artist comes away before they come back, you can just one little mist. And even if they're going to wipe it right off.
Listen. Do not do that if they have a stencil on your skin.
Oh, wait till they're like in it.
Yeah.
I hadn't gotten
if there's
there
any
yet.
purple on the stencil, I don't know. Like
I hadn't
on the
gotten
skin
there
from
yet.
that. Yeah. I figured you probably gonna do that, but I was like,
But yes, good. I don't know.
Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, no, I feel like I've let my clients just spritz the whole time. But
Just
every
spritz
single
away.
wipe.
Fuck yeah. If
Every single wipe
if there's
I'm
no
doing
stencil on there, spritz away. Please. I mean, you're saving me a spritz. You're gonna get spritzed anyway. But
So let's explain how the Bactine works. So as your artist like lays out the tattoo, the first few touches, no matter what, there's nothing you can do to make that better. The artist has to break the skin, whether it's like the first little bit of shading or the first little bit of lining. So once you've got that whole first layer there, whether it's the outline or the first layer, that's when the Bactine becomes the most magic.
mm-hmm.
But every appointment, I feel like, do you feel like most artists nowadays are using Bactine, or do you think it's still just a handful?
It is 1 out of 3. I think.
You think 1
I
out
think
of 3?
that's my ratio when I'm talking to different artists. Is 1 out of 3.
I feel like,
But I don't. I think then it's 1 out of 10, or maybe 3 out of 10 that are working like you and I work.
yeah,
Or like Guy works, where we're putting it in a full entire cup, and then we probably have like a whole bottle. Like I just got a whole bottle of it now, and then I put some in the cup so I can
Use
dip, but
that
then
as
so I
rinse.
can just saturate.
yep. It's one of those things.
And so I go
where
through a lot. I'm going through an $8 bottle for every tattoo,
I
but
think Bactine helps better than any prenum, and it's just such an easy thing to use. And like once your artist is far enough along that they're actually like changing colors and like the skin is broken and the Bactine can actually like work into that open skin, I think those are the times where like just that mist, and that's why I say just like one mist, that's where it starts to make all the difference in the world.
yeah, you
And what I
really don't
find-
need much.
What I find is like on the multiple hour sessions, it makes it so that my client is not exhausted and done after 3 or 4 hours. I feel like it gives them so much more stamina to like tolerate, like we still push it. We still get to like the finish line of what you can tolerate each session. But I feel like I can get like
Absolutely.
6 or 7 hours worth of work done with the Bactine, where my client might have already been at the finish line at 3 or 4 without it.
Right.
So it's one of those, like, there are prenums that are kind of like a head start, but Bactine is like that, I don't know, like an energy boost in the middle of the race. It's that thing that's like, if you're running a race and your legs are burning, Bactine's going to be the thing that takes the burn away and helps you push another quarter mile.
Right.
I just love it though. If you're collecting, pick up a bottle of Bactine. Your artist should know how to use it.
Yeah, I think it
do.
should be a tattoo standard, to be honest. I don't think.
Tattoo karma, right?
I think it's great. I mean, earn your tattoo. I mean, I think feeling the pain of tattoo is unavoidable. Tattoos are always going to hurt, and I think there's a level of it. I'm not going to be a traditionalist and say they have to hurt or it's not a fucking tattoo. I mean, that's just inevitable. It's going to fucking hurt. It's a tattoo. There's no way really around that. But I don't think you're not a baby for wanting to lessen the pain a little bit, because this shit fucking hurts. I think if you're going through a 2 to 3 hour tattoo, I mean, look at the people. There's no way around it. You got people that have sat for ungodly amount of hours versus your 3 hour tattoo. So I mean, needing numbing stuff for something that's gonna be 3 hours. I mean, really don't need it. I mean, maybe, but there's no reason not to. I mean, if you have Bactine and you don't stencil anymore, but use numbing stuff if you need it. Bring it with you. Just bring Bactine with you.
Good call bringing up the stencil factor, though. I might have gotten stoned and forgotten it. I mean,
yeah,
I planned on it.
You didn't circle.
But good call.
You didn't circle around
Good
back.
call.
to
I
it.
might not have, but I did plan on it. But
Right.
good call on
Oh
that.
yeah, because
Yeah,
Bactine
it
it takes away my stencil. Like that's a good way of getting the purple off of my tattoos is what I'm using the Bactine. So I know it just gets it right on.
I find if I can dab, it really doesn't mess with my stencil as much as if I wipe.
Do the guy wave, just like fingertip of
Yeah,
it. It's
just
like
like a dab.
wipe that little spot you just worked off.
Yep, that's all. I only need to check the saturation in this tiny area. That's all.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to get my back done. More excited to Bactine the fuck out of it, and I will also be Zen-saying it because I don't like getting tattooed.
All of the helpers,
I don't
all
like
the aides.
I like the feeling afterwards. I live for that just feeling of like going back to the hotel and just being beat and just so happy to be that you just feel wounded and like just happy to like be in a bed. Like you'd rather be home, but oh god, I'm not looking forward to those. I'm not going back to that hotel that we went to last time.
Yeah, that was awful. Since this random truck stop hotel on the way.
Yeah.
We played Priceline Roulette. It's a game that I play. Sometimes I
bugs.
win, sometimes I lose. It's awful.
Bed bugs. I didn't know they didn't wash the blankets either.
I'm sorry. I'm
That
sorry.
fucked me up for life. I'm
Jordan-
bringing my own comforter anytime I go anywhere.
Jordan was under the impression that they washed all the bed coverings at hotels, not just the sheets. So I'm really sorry that I burst that bubble for you and made you realize that you've been sleeping in a hot tub.
I'm going to
cesspool.
break it to most people on here that already understand this, is that there has got to be hundreds of people that have used, thousands upon thousands of people who have used those blankets for an ungodly amount of disgusting things that became nice and crusty all over those
And
blankets.
you were cuddled up right next to it and didn't even know.
Up in it, I burritoed. Every time I'm in a hotel, I burrito up in my blankets. Well, especially when I blast the AC and I get cuddled up in the blankets.
Yeah, I'll pull the comforter off and cuddle up in the underneath ones. Sometimes. I don't know. Depends on how tired I am and how much I care.
Bring in my own blanket if I got the room. But with all that being said, I think it's time to wrap this up. We got some things to do today.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Anybody that tuned in, thanks for chilling with us.
We're so thankful
Doing
for
some
everything.
recaps.
I am thankful for the Indians that made it possible to.
The Native Americans.
They made it possible for us to kill them all and have a holiday based on the thanks. Thanks for killing all the Indians.
I feel like we do express gratitude pretty well. What are we thankful for, Jordan?
Yeah, sorry, that wasn't the most grateful thing. But yeah, I'm grateful for my clients. I'm grateful for the people that make this podcast happen. I'm grateful for creativity in general. Grateful for the people in my life. Grateful for Fawn here.
Oh, thanks, Jordan.
Grateful for
you
my
too.
family and everyone I love in my life. You guys are all awesome. And when it comes to tattoos, nothing that I do could be possible without my clients. So you guys are the ones who make stuff like this happen. And you guys are the reason why we are doing this podcast, is because we want to give something back to you. We're doing something individually all the time by making tattoos for everyone. But yeah, I mean, now hopefully you guys will listen.
Yep.
I don't know.
So,
We're here.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
following us. Thanks for being awesome collectors, awesome clients.
Yeah, you guys are the best. Thanks for listening to the Tattoo Collecting Podcast.
The thankful tattoo collecting.
Yeah, the
podcast.
overly thankful Tattoo Collecting Podcast. So fucking thankful.
All right, guys, or just Happy Turkey Day, whichever. You can find all the previous episodes that we've talked about today, everybody that we've mentioned. You can find all of that on tattoocollecting.com. What's that page?
TattooCollecting.com. You can also check out my website, JordanRookustattoo.com, because I'm here and I might as well throw out my handles.
Yep.
Fawn, where can people find you?
FawnBaker.com.
FawnBaker.com. Cool.
Easy.
If you want a tattoo by us, you can check us out there. I also just want to let you guys know to cover your toes up tonight because the devil's going for them.
Nice, Jordan.
All right. Well, bye, guys.
All right, guys. See you next time.